Folks, welcome back into the 7 Financial Blind Spots. So this is number 2. We put it number 2 because it's very important. And there's so many people out there who don't understand that they can have different options when they claim Social Security. And it could cost people watching thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars by taking the wrong claiming strategy of Social Security.
Yeah, absolutely. Social Security represents probably the biggest part of the retirement income pie. It's extremely important to make sure you understand how, and not just how, but also why you're going to use the strategy that you're using.
Because many people wait till the day they go in and they expect the person in the Social Security office is going to help them take the right strategy. They're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Their job is to help you fill the paperwork out.
All they do is give you the numbers.
Yep. So I know you and your team do a good job of sitting down and mapping out. Again, we figure out what you want to do in retirement. We figure out what you've done in the past, and we look at what your Social Security benefits could be if you take the right options. And many of them are a lot bigger than you thought.
Yeah, absolutely. This kind of goes back to having the written goals. Once the written goals are in place, we can figure out what sources of income, whether it's Social Security or a pension, or maybe tapping into some kind of retirement savings that we can use to be able to start to accomplish some of those outlined goals.
At what age do you think it makes sense for someone, even if they're not going to retire today or next year, but what age should they start mapping out their Social Security claiming strategies?
I would say as early as possible.
Yep.
Social Security is probably going to change a lot between now and whenever you retire. So the earlier you can get out in front of that, and the earlier you can start to create that plan, the more beneficial it's ultimately going to be.
So you and your team can do that for
absolutely.
folks.
We work with people who are 50 years old in preparation for how they're going to claim their pension, how they're going to really maximize Social Security. It's never too early to start.
Well, the good thing about that is they've got their plan and their route mapped out.
Yeah.
So if the government changes something, it's just a matter of making a couple minor adjustments instead of starting from square one.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
So earlier, always better.
Okay. Now, the other point on this topic here are company pensions. Now, most people watching probably, if you're still working, you probably don't have a pension available.
Right.
Maybe government pension, but you're contributing a lot to that.
Right.
How can people, if they're looking at the lump sum they have in their 401ks, how can they build their own pension?
Yeah, it's important to be able to understand how you're going to use that 401k. There's ways out there where you can actually create your own pension for yourself. And unlike some of the pensions where they might have a survivor benefit that only gets cut in half, some of the newer ways to create self-funded pensions will actually let the income come in for not just your life, but your spouse's life.
Even on IRAs, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because an IRA is an individual retirement account, but there's certain options in there which give income for husband and wife.
Absolutely. And that's becoming more important now. As pensions have started to go away, it's important to understand that the burden of responsibility has now shifted from the employer to the employee. So incredibly important to start.
So throwing your arms up in the air and saying, this doesn't apply to me. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
If you have a lump sum in any kind of account, it's good to have that translated to at least to see what you could get for a lifetime income for you and your spouse.
Absolutely.
And I know you guys do a great job of that.
Yeah, and we've seen companies in the past where you start with a lump sum here, and over time, as rates change, maybe it gets reduced or cut in half or frozen. So you want to make sure that you know what your options are and that you're taking advantage of what's available.
Even if you're trapped in a company pension plan and you're having to select an option now where you take the max benefit or you take a lesser benefit and your spouse gets a lesser benefit, you guys have ways where you can do what's called pension maximization, where you can take your max benefit and make sure your spouse gets equal to or greater than lump sum tax-free when you pass away.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some incredible strategies built around that. And so that's one of the things that we can talk about. Come in to see us.
Another evil enemy in retirement, and one of our blind spots here is inflation. We're going to talk about that when we come back.